BodyBags, where horror lies.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to BodyBags. It's week 169, and I'm your Sunday host, Bourgie86, here again. Now, the film I got for you guys today for review is a film from 1986, which is the year of my birth, which very fitting that I love going back to 86 films a lot lately. And this one, of course, is titled Necropolis. This is actually a first-time watch for me also. This is part of Full Moon's Grindhouse collection, if you know about this line that Charlie Band and Full Moon had put out. A lot of like the older like Empire productions that couldn't be put in, like didn't make it past the VHS days. So they decided to put them out on these Grindhouse collection series, which usually most of these are VHS transfers of these films. And this one is no consideration. This is a VHS transfer. Now, very interesting film, I have to say. We're introduced to like our backstory of like this scene where we enter 1886, where the witches are big and popular in the New England area of the time, and we're introduced to our main bad witch, Eva, who is trying to increase her powers by doing this sacrifice. Unbeknownst, she's actually stopped by the villagers before she could complete her ritual, and she promises that she will be back. Now, fast forward 100 years later into the year 1986, Eva has been reborn, and first time we meet her, she's like this punk rock type leather clad chick who's going around grouping her army of undead coven members by exorbitant plasm from males to give them strength. And unbeknownst, she's trying to find a virgin to complete her ritual that she started years ago, and to complete and become immortal and more powerful than ever. And it's up to the resurrected form of our previous virgin and her resurrected form of her old boyfriend, and it's up to them to try to stop this stop Eva before it's too late and take over the world. That is pretty much the main gist of the plot of this film, without going too crazy into it. Now, with a plot like that, it's kind of like insensely and crazy, and you think it would be like over the top and stuff, but the film actually does it very subtly with the story. The acting, for the most part, is okay. It has like a lot of like cheesy line acting and stuff like that, and weird like delivery of lines. But I actually do like the chick who plays Eva in the film. She's actually very fucking badass. It's actually Linnea Baker, who I know from Breeders, which is kind of coincidental that this film is actually produced by Tim Kincaid, who's also the director of Breeders. And really interested in cast variations with the rest of the cast. I do like the characters, though, for the most part. So even though the acting is kind of like subpar in some scenes, it still makes up for what it is. And I do like enjoy following these characters throughout it. Really fun sequences of like bizarreness, and there's some really cool effects in this film. The effects are done by Ed French, who I pretty much know from like a lot of like he did Breeders effects also, and most famously he did the effects for Blood Rage, which if you've seen that 80s slasher, you know the effects of that film are pretty fucking awesome. Their effects aren't too overly like out there though. Most of the like big like gore effects do come at the very end of the film. But I just like the story, and the atmosphere of it is really intense, and I really like the atmosphere of like these weird like underground like ritual that's going on with like these undead coven members. And I actually really dug how this film went about it with its ending too. The ending of this film, really cool stuff. I really enjoyed how the ending all went down, and the musical soundtrack's really good in this film. It has this like eerie like early Empire like Full Moon style musical soundtrack, which is pretty what you're gonna get with like these type of early 80s Empire films. and a lot of cool like musical like soundtrack notes too. Like actually, one of the first songs you hear is actually "Rock and Roll Rock," which by Sonny Hilden, which actually also appeared in another film from 1986, Killer Workout, and is probably more famously known for that film because that is pretty much when you pop in like any release of Killer Workout, that's the first song you hear. It's like its iconic theme for that film. But it's really cool, and I like how they actually used it in this film also. Really cool stuff, and I like all the like the punk aspect, and there's a lot of cool like fog sequences which add to the atmosphere of the film. Now, this film is not a perfect film by any means, but I had hella fun with it. So if I had to rate Necropolis, I'm gonna give it a solid 6.5 out of 10. Really fun film, and if you enjoy like these early like 80s B movies type deals, you're gonna really enjoy this one and have fun with it with its cool effects. And there's one scene in particular which I wasn't even expecting to see, and I don't think I ever saw this before. It was like Total Recall times two. That's how bizarre it is. And if you got that reference from times two, then you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, Necropolis, 6.5 out of 10. Highly recommend this film. Of course, the transfer is not the best in the world, but it's still watchable for what it is. So, yeah, good stuff. All right, guys, that's it for this review. I'll be back next week with our, actually, we'll all be back next week with our first theme week in a while. We're doing slashers, and I know what everyone's doing, so it's going to be a fun as hell week. And I can't wait to actually review the one I'm doing because it's a kind of a newer type film, but probably not known, but a lot of cool choices for slashers. Slashers is probably my third favorite subgenre, to be honest. So excited to see what other people's thoughts on certain films are that some of them I actually haven't seen, so that's a good thing too. So I'll see you then, guys. Peace out.